I woke up in the middle of the procedure and I like hit the dentist's hand accidentally and his like the drill went through my lip.
What?
Yeah, so I have terrible experiences with the dentist, and exploring it in the movie was, I mean, it makes sense because it's like I'm putting on screen what I'm terrified of.
First thing I have to ask you about is the dentist material, because I am not afraid of very much, but a very real fear I have is of the dentist. So those were some of the few scenes where I felt the need to cover my eyes. And I think based on the press notes, like you also have a little bit of a fear of the dentist. So I just have to know, how does one having an actual fear of something translate to them wanting to explore it in a horror movie?
I mean, making movies is kind of just therapy, honestly, both from the things I'm afraid of and just like what the characters go through, you know. But the dentist thing, for sure. I mean, I'm terrified of the dentist. My dentist has a stress ball in my file. So like whenever I come in, they hand it to me. They always give me extra Novocaine. I mean, I when I was getting my wisdom teeth taken out, I don't go to this dentist anymore, but when my wisdom were taken out, I woke up in the middle of the procedure and I like hit the dentist's hand accidentally and his like the drill went through my lip.
What?
Yeah, so I have terrible experiences with the dentist, and exploring it in the movie was, I mean, it makes sense because it's like I'm putting on screen what I'm terrified of.
That was cruel, man, to share that story with me, but I understand why I asked the question. I set myself up for that. Those scenes were very, very effective, though.
Thank you.
Jumping to the end of the movie, I, of course, have to ask about having a third act that is essentially like the Insidious All-Stars. Can you tell me a little bit about playing with so many of those iconic characters and also figuring out how and when to use each of them? Like, you know, one that caught my eye was like specifically when the lipstick demon pops up, you know, the bride in black being the first to cross over, all that good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. Look, I'm coming into this franchise as a fan first. You know, I've loved these movies from the beginning. And so when I was writing this and figuring out, okay, what entities are we going to see? First and foremost, I wanted to create new entities, new villains, new people that you've never seen before that feel in line with what you do know about the Further. But then I knew that myself, if I was watching this movie, like, I'd want to see some of those favorites that I had from other films. And so it really was this balancing act of like, how much are they sort of Easter eggs or just quick moments? How much do you just see a hand at first and you know who that is if you're a big fan of the franchise? And it was honestly something we played with on, you know, in post a lot. You know, I did shoot more with the lipstick demon, for instance, and we just kept finding like, okay, just a little bit goes a long way. You really want to have those moments land. And I think it's all about the buildup more than the actual reveal usually. And so, yeah, it was just honestly following my gut instincts as a fan of what I wanted to see in the movie.
Gut instincts were spot on. I've found it very impressive how well earned all that feels, which is very key when you're leaning on characters from past films. I also want to talk about your original villain here, Cyrus. I love asking this question because I love hearing about how things evolve from beginning to end. What is the biggest difference between who Cyrus was and maybe what he looked like in your mind, draft one of this script, and how does that compare to the final version that we see in the movie?
That's a good question. I mean, he is, I will say Sam Spruell is the biggest difference, right? Like the amazing actor who came in, and I always imagined this sort of charismatic charmer who used to be a cult leader, right? And now is like this cult of personality and the Further gathering people to sort of harness his ability, and someone who like needed acclaim from other people in order to sort of feel alive. And then when Sam came in, he sort of brought this amazing sexiness to the character. I mean, he did everything that we wanted, right, with that charm, but also he's like so sort of alluring, and I find him sexy, and just like I could see with him in that role that it was sort of like, oh, I get why people would follow this guy. And I think that was the biggest thing that evolved.
I'll also ask a similar question then about the Acolytes, because like they pop so strongly, and I feel like a large part of it comes from just those actors and their screen presence and also their presence together as a trio.
Yeah, I mean, the Acolytes, it was amazing trying to find that trio, right? Because like you want three people that they don't have dialogue in the film for the most part, and so it's just about the visual, right? And so, you know, we've sort of found them from all different parts of the world, and when we brought them together, the most amazing experience was like standing them up in a line together, and like they just like instinctually like held hands and like started walking toward me. And I have it on, you know, my iPhone. And it was like immediately like my vision came to life in front of me.
I loved the visual of the three of them. That quickly clicked with me. I also wanted to squeeze in one question about working with Blumhouse, and I pulled a quote from you in the press notes. You had said you had been working with James and Jason for many years, developing several possible projects and exploring your point of view as a horror director. So I was kind of just hoping to get a sense of what that kind of experience is like. Can you maybe tell me some things you encountered that deemed certain projects not worth pursuing with them, and how they encouraged you to know to your core that Insidious was the right movie to make the leap with?
Yeah, I mean, the real answer is that I love working at Blumhouse. I mean, there's so much creative freedom there. I really love the team there. And the stuff I've been developing there, it's really hard to get a movie made. I mean, that's the true answer, is that there was a couple movies we almost made there that, we were casting, or we were almost, one we were like in prep on, and various things happen, things fall apart, a strike happens, a pandemic happens, right? Like, and these things can be devastating in the moment for the project, but ultimately it led to us all having like this really close working relationship. And so by the time Insidious came around, Jason called me one morning, 7 a.m., was like, hey, buddy, like, what would you think about taking on Insidious? And the only reason I got that call was because I had these years of time working with them on other stuff. So it was an incredible experience. I felt very fortunate to get that call, and I'm so grateful this was the first one that actually got made there.
I have high hopes that partnership will continue if you want.
Thank you.
Really well done. It's so nice to see this franchise continue with like a really smart new wrinkle to its lore. So
I appreciate
congratulations.
it. Thank you so much.